Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a great session for you, especially with this winter weather we're having. It's looking forward to summer and all the different opportunities that are out there for your students. We've got three speakers with us tonight who'll talk about just different programming that you might be interested in. There will be some time for questions. And again, this is being recorded. So if you have to step away or you have a friend that wanted to come and they weren't able tonight, don't worry, we'll have it all recorded. Um, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jennifer from OOD. I'll let her introduce herself and then we'll go from there.
Sure. My name's Jennifer Bonifant, and I'm with a state agency called Opportunities for Hands with Disabilities. Were you going to let the other speakers introduce themselves, or should I just go forward with talking about our services?
You can go forward and then
Okay.
when you turn it over to Jen, Jen can introduce herself.
Okay. Sounds good. So we work with both young adults and adults with helping them work towards employment in the community. So we work with all different types of people with disabilities, all different types of disabilities. We're an eligibility-based program. Often when working with high school students, we receive referrals directly from the school. We use the IEP and the ETR to help with disability documentation. And the goal is when we're working with high school students is to help them develop, obtain work skills, help support the school and whatever type of work study or programming that they're working on to help them to have positive experiences with work while they're in high school. There is research that's shown that students with disabilities, the more opportunities they have with working while in school and positive experiences, they'll be more successful with working after high school. And again, we do also continue to work with students after they graduate as well. But we do have quite a number of transition services to help students develop those work skills to supplement kind of what they're working on during the school year. We do have counselors like myself assigned to all the different public schools out in Hamilton County and across the state of Ohio. And when we're working with students with transition services, it's like to say it's like baby steps. So often we get students referred to us, maybe they're ninth graders or 10th graders, and they don't have any work experiences. And so we have what's called pre-employment transition services, which are have topics on work study to help them learn about like appropriate work behaviors and what's a resume and how do you prepare and act in an interview, what do you wear, topics like self-advocacy. What is self-advocacy? Why it's important for students with disabilities to have self-advocacy skills. Those topics like that are important. They're introductory topics as far as learning about work. And then we often, when students show that, summer youth programming it's an assessment, and often we like students to have done maybe pre-ets and maybe done some work study in the school, possibly if they have opportunities to go maybe out once a week to learn about different types of jobs in the community, or they've done that through the pre-ets or pre-employment transition services. But we'd like them to have those experiences before they do the summer youth program. So the summer youth program, every year it changes a little bit, but it's either like 3 weeks or 5 weeks. And it's where we have providers who we refer students to. We fund those services, providers such as you might have heard of, like examples like Ohio Valley Goodwill Industries or Icron or Easter Seals Tri-State. They're all CARF accredited that they can take our referrals from a state agency. And what they do is they set up work sites throughout the community. Like Goodwill often uses their store sites, their different donation centers and their stores where they sell their thrifts, like the thrift store setting, where students can come in and learn about, customer service and what's, stock work, or others like Icron work, set up sites out in the community with restaurants or, they're really creative sometimes in finding some of the sites. But the idea is those providers will set up sites working with those employers, and the employers are very kind and open up their doors to students to come in during the summer for the summer youth program. They don't get paid anything. And often when a student's participating in the summer youth program, it's usually 2 to 3 students per one coach throughout the 3 weeks or 5 weeks. The program is set up to be like a part-time job. Often for many students, it's their first experience with working. So that's when they have to get like their state ID and maybe set up their first checking account because they get a check when they're done with the summer youth program. It's a stipend that we send to the provider to pay the student for that for their time in the summer youth program, and it's minimum wage. But when they're participating in the summer youth program, and it's again, it's oftentimes their first experience with working. The coach is there to help them learn about if they're working in food prep, or if they're working in the stock work experience, or if they're at a theater, or wherever that site might be. They're just, again, these are entry level types of positions for students, just like if they were, any other high school student, those types of jobs that are appropriate for that age. And once they complete the program, the summer youth program, the providers write a report up, all the services that when a provider provides a service for our referrals, our students, they're required to write a report. And that summer youth report's really helpful. We often share it with parents and with the schools. It gives them an idea of how the student did. Oftentimes it's like a baseline of like where they're at as far as working in the community, and maybe what the observations were from the coach as far as what they should continue to work on to help them develop those work skills while in high school. And sometimes students go through it and they're ready, and they'll make recommendations that they're ready to participate in job development services, which is a service that we fund to help a student get a job in the community, and coaching services to help train them on the job. Other times students aren't ready, and we'll talk with the school team about what they can work on during, maybe continue to work on a work study, whether it's like soft skills or hard skills, in the work study setting. So yeah, and again, I think it's a wonderful program that's grown probably over the past 10 years. I was fortunate to be around when we first started doing it. So I think it's a great opportunity for students to, with disabilities to go into a summer youth program, because it's set up to be successful for them. It's set up to be a positive experience with work, that helps them develop, increased confidence being in the community in those types of settings. So overall, I think it's a wonderful type of service that we provide. So that's about all I have. If anyone has questions, or if we're going to save that for the end.
Thank you, Jennifer. If there's any questions, we'll wait for a second. You can also put them in the chat and we can do questions at the end. I love learning about transition because my kids are 14 and 12. And so I'm going to have a ton of questions at that point, and I just have to write down people's names and remember the programs that they're talking about so that I'm ready for my own kids. I think there is a question.
Yeah, I saw that. It says, are these services open to homeschooled students as well? Yes, so we use Department of Education funding when paying for services. So we have to have an IEP, ETR, or 504 plan to show that they're a student with disability. But, at home, I work with students who've been homeschooled. They're definitely allowed to participate.
Awesome. And let me know, Melissa, or anybody on here, if you're hearing any background noise, because I do have my kids here. So my name is Jen Powers-Algie. I work for the ARC of Ohio. I'm here in Southwest Ohio. I live in Mainville area. My kids go to King schools. I've got 2 kids with developmental disabilities. My son, Jack, is autistic. He's 14 in the 8th grade. My daughter, Evie, is 12 and has Down syndrome in the 5th grade. So that I'm an attorney by trade. I help here at the ARC full-time, helping families with the whole range of any advocacy purposes that they need. I do a lot of IEP meetings. I do a lot of help getting families waivers. So at the end of my little presentation here, you'll have my information, and definitely reach out to me if you ever have any any needs with your kids, or if you're a teacher and need, have any questions or anything about anything disability related IEPs or anything like that. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I prepared a little presentation just to keep me on track. So we're going from transition services to kind of our younger kids, because we're going to talk about a lot about summer camps and things for families who've got kids who are trying to figure out what to do over the summer. And this is the time here in January, early February, to start that planning. So as much as we'd like to keep this and not think about it for a little bit, because we're all trying to just survive the winter, it is here. Camps are registrations are open. Actually, they're actually closing here soon. So we all need to make sure that we're on the ball with getting into summer camps and other things that start in early June. So I just have some resources here, but definitely reach out to me if you have any questions. And am I in presentation mode? Probably not. There we go. That's better. So you don't have to see my whole screen. All right. Let me move this up. Okay, so I want everyone to start thinking about their plans in the summer. And these are kind of some things to think about when you are planning your summer. ESY is the first thing I always tell families to think about, and what the school can offer you. So every single school district is different. Some school districts I work with actually have some good summer school resources. Others, it's very individually based. Some do it in-house, some contract these things out. But knowing that that's one of your tools in your toolkit is important. And I'll talk more about that. Next thing is camp. So I always tell families, this is kind of like trying to fill every little piece with each one of these things is kind of how to do it the best. So the next one is try to do some, if you can't find a camp that your child wants to do for the full summer, which none of us really can, try to pick and choose a few, and I'll give you some options. Another one is therapy. So a lot of us with kids with developmental disabilities do a lot of our therapies over the summer because we're getting our therapy in school. So kind of filling in some of that private therapy time over the summer to try to keep skills or to gain some skills, since you have that time during the summer to do that. The next one is respite care, always trying to plan and remember that it's going to be here before you know it. People, if you have, a waiver, you can try to find your provider. If you don't have a waiver, trying to get on care.com or asking, family and friends or neighbors, who can help me this summer while you either work or just need those breaks, because you're going to need it. Another one is sports, something to think about. There's lots of different sports options I'll have on here. And then peer support, making sure that you're connected with, your kids' peers and also your peers. In the community, we have some support groups and other advocacy groups that I'll talk about here. So like I talked about, ESY, Extended School Year Services, if you have an IEP, it's part of every IEP meeting. This box should not be checked before you do your IEP. It should always be a question for the team whether or not these services are something that your child is eligible for. I often tell families that if you are thinking that your child has had some regression, or if you think your child has things that they just can't make progress on during the school year because of, all of the things that we do. A lot of kids, like my kids, we're already in January and we just now got the behaviors in line so we can start to learn. And so you want to get some data, ask for some data about extended school year. So if your IEP meeting isn't until March or April or May, I would ask for that data now to be looked at. They can look at that data from last summer, or they can look at it for over the holiday break. You can also use, your MAP tests or other data points that can show whether or not your child might be eligible for ESY. There's a lot that goes into it. If you have questions about this, reach out to me and I can explain more. It's a team decision. So it's, like I said, it's not something where it's like, oh, we don't think that your child should get extended school year. Let's move on. Everybody at the table has to agree to that. And it should be individualized. And I knew I put like another huge screen on here of just some things to think about. So like I said, regression is the big one. If your child had a skill, does no longer have a skill, or was making a lot of progress and is now going backwards, that's definitely eligible for ESY. But that's not the only consideration. There's other, the nature and severity of the disability, special circumstances, maybe, COVID was a big one. A lot of kids just did not make progress because there was an entire pandemic that stopped all progress and caused us all to lose education. And behavior is a big one. Like I just talked about, when my son was having trouble getting into school and having anxiety, not being in the building can cause some issues to getting the education, access to education. So, and another big one is progress and emerging skills. So, if your child's making great progress at every IEP meeting, perfect. If they're not, that's something you can point to. Well, from when I looked at this IEP or doing this IEP, I don't see much progress there. So we need to try to get that done over the summer. Also, there's good case law on emerging skills and making sure that kids are able to stick with the grade level that they're in. So a lot of our kids are not going to be able to meet grade level standards, but that can be something that's, your argument to say, well, I need them, this child's in the 5th grade, but she's still working at a 1st grade level or a 2nd grade level. We need to try to get her caught up. We need to work on these things at a different time. So these are things to think about. Call me if you have questions. I know I spent a lot of time on it. I'm pretty passionate about school law. Camp. So summer camp, I have a pilot program through the ARC of Ohio. I got a DODD grant. I saw Ann Tapia here. Thank you, Ann. I got a grant from DODD to do a 2-year program at Camp Kern, sending kids to summer camp for 1 week of day camp. It would be free of cost for the child. And this is for children with high support needs. So we're trying to just get more kids who would typically be told, hey, we just can't have you at camp. We don't have enough resources for you. We just don't have a good ratio. We don't have a good staffing. I was trying to find an answer there. So I asked for some funds and I asked for Cincinnati Children's Lend program to help me take data on it to try to show that we can do this. We can send all kids to camp. We sent 9 kids last year, had really great success. There were a couple weeks that were a little touch and go, but we learned a lot and we have some good data on it. And we're working with a really great camp at Camp Kern, who is ready, willing, able to take on kids that no other camp, including even camps in our area that only do disability related camps. We're not taking these kids. So I have spots available for 2025. The campers that we're looking for are ages about 8 or 9 to 14. We found that the like 11, 12, 13, 14 range was the best. Younger kids had a harder time. So we had like a couple younger kids and it was kind of touch and go there for those weeks, but highly recommend it. Just email me and I'll give you my email at the end if you are interested or if you know any families who might be interested. How we're doing it is we basically took the funds and hired a one-on-one. So someone who has special needs, special education experience, and they're there at the camp, including that child in typical camp setting with typical campers, and then this child just joining on the camp. And we do that for 9 weeks. We add 1 child each week. So I've got spots available there. these are good camps that I'm just listing here that I know include our kids. So Recreations Unlimited, I know COTI. If you're kind of looking down this list, these are the ones I like really highly recommend. The JCC has a great program. Camp Dovetail has a great program. And so I kind of just wanted to give everybody some of those resources there. If you have any questions about those, let me know. If you're like, yeah, we tried that one and they told us no, let me know, because I'm trying really hard to take the data from our program and kind of help these camps plug some holes, fill some gaps, figure out what they need. Tell me what you need, and I'll try to get you either. If it's funding, we can get the funding. If it's staffing, we can try to help. We're trying to, since the DSP crisis, we're trying to fix that crisis here in Ohio with like better funds and more raises for people. We're trying to see if more DSPs will help over the summer in these kind of programs. They have the right training, they have what we need. So we're trying to do a few things with summer and summer camps. Oh, I think I went backwards. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going back. Okay, so this is an old flyer, so don't look at the dates on it, but this is going to be the same thing for next year, just the dates are different. They just don't have a flyer yet. So Great Parks, it is, oh gosh, I forget the name of the camp and I don't even see it on here. Summer Camps for All, Cincinnati Parks program has a really great special needs camp, very inclusive, highly recommended, but I see the person that you would email is Gia, and you would still email her. But I will get that flyer and I'll give it to Melissa and she'll send it out with the rest of the stuff. But I just wanted to, Dr. Jen Smith at Cincinnati Children's does this camp, and it's a great opportunity, but I definitely just don't have a great flyer for it yet. So as helpful as that was. Another piece of the puzzle of summer is therapy. Like I said before, kind of trying to plug those holes. So I listed some of the good therapy places around. Obviously, Cincinnati Children's is the premier, the best, but I don't have them on here for some reason, but I just kind of assume everybody knows about them. But I have Abilities First, Kid Power, Blue Canopy. These are all great places to send your kids over the summer, and they always have like cool summer programming, like summer camps and summer programming going on there. And respite care, I always kind of point to county boards, call your county board now for summer planning to say, hey, what do we got for the summer? What kind of funding, family support funds are there? Do you need a waiver because you don't have anybody to help you and you need really intensive respite support? Those are all things to think about. Call me if you need any help with that, but that's what your county board of BD is for. It's kind of something that I always want to make sure that families know is available to you. Sports. So I just kind of listed the resources that I think are great around here in Cincinnati area: soccer shots, challenger leagues, Special Olympics. All the other ones I think I listed, like the ballet. There's a few other ones on, maybe I did another sheet, but Dr. Jen Smith, who I talked about before, has gone to a lot of these places and done a lot of training with staff to include our kids. So I really highly recommend, like the Cincinnati Ballet has great programming there for our kids. Horseback riding and swimming are probably the best things you can do over the summer. So highly recommend getting kids involved in those things and there's really good programming at our YMCA. So if you're, obviously we have some good ones centrally in Hamilton County, but we have a good one up here too in Warren County where I am. And then I just put peer support. So there's Autism Society has peer support programs. A lot of those are virtual. Down Syndrome Association has great programming, and Gigi's Playhouse is new. I also wanted to put out there, and I don't have a flyer for this on here, but I'm starting an advocacy group for families And I'll send that to Melissa so you can send it out too. Starting at the end of the month, it will be the fourth Tuesday of every month at the Down Syndrome Association, for families to connect, get together, and I'm really trying to help families with their advocacy, with any advocacy needs that they have, but also with public policy type advocacy. So helping families get in touch with their leaders in the community and at the state level and at the federal level. So I feel like we're in a budget year this year in the state of Ohio. So we're going to have a lot of advocacy things that we're going to be trying to work on. And we have obviously a new administration at the federal level that we might have to be really advocating on. So and to, save things like Medicaid and other things that are really important to our community. So thought it would be a good idea to get people together. So I'll send more information about that, but it's really important to have support over the summer when everything seems to be gone for us, all of our sports. And then the other place I put on here, Cincinnati Zoo, very inclusive for our family. Cincinnati Art Museum has Sensory Saturdays. I'm on their committee there. Love them, and their Sensory Saturdays are amazing for families. They just keep adding more and more things to it. Cincinnati Children's Theater is very inclusive. My daughter has Down syndrome. She's been doing some really great things there. They've been phenomenal. They've been trained again by Dr. Jen Smith and her team. Cincinnati Ballet and Opera again, and Cincinnati Parks. All right, and so in conclusion, just make a plan. I always tell parents to make a schedule as much as you can in advance, join with other parents and cohorts. Obviously, we try to do these things, but we need the outside support more than the inside support, but it's important to not do this alone. And I actually gave this presentation like last time, not in January, and I was like, this is really a January presentation to plan it now. And then I really highly recommend hiring somebody in high school or college if you just need someone to help you and you can afford it. It's a huge privilege, I know, but it's very, very helpful to have someone helping you over the summer. And there's family support funds that can help you with that. And then, yeah, I always ask my intervention specialists to prepare some things for summer for us, projects and other things to keep working on. And summer is a good time to work on chores and adaptive skills and things like that, and always focus on self-care. So there's my info. Email me anytime. That's my cell phone. So you can text or call me on it. And if anybody ever has any questions for any reason, I'm here to help here. And I will send more information to Melissa. Let me know if you have questions. And I can stop sharing my screen.
All I can say is I want to do some of the summer programs you described. Sounds like
It's like a full-time job planning the summer. I'm aware of this, and I know it's a huge privilege for me to say it like, oh, just make a huge plan. But it's like, this is when I worked on it just for my own kids over the last couple weeks of the break, because I just know when I start to have anxiety in like April about summer. And I love my kids, don't get me wrong, guys, but it's 3 intense months of trying to make sure that you're keeping them making progress, but also just keep staying alive and keeping your sanity and all the things. And so highly recommend making a plan, and let me know if I can help you with it.
Great. All right. So our next speaker, Jennifer? I don't see you on my screen. Nope, there you are. Oh, sorry. I mixed myself up. Tanya, were you able to figure out your video?
No, for some reason it's not working. I don't know why.
All
But,
right. Well, we'll just go.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we'll just go with it. We'll roll with it.
Okay. My name is Tanya Banther. I work at the Access Center for Independent Living, which is in Dayton. And we have been doing the Youth Leadership Forum program since 2020. Now, in 2020, we had, well, let me back up here. The Youth Leadership Program is sponsored by OOD, and we focus on students in high school, usually seniors and sophomores. That I think that this coming year, they're going to expand that to possibly freshmen also. They're working on that, but these students have disabilities and they have to be involved with OOD as a consumer. Now, like I said, we started this in 2020. And at that point, we were going to be at the Dayton Public Library downtown. We had about maybe 15 students. Then all of a sudden, COVID popped up and we had to do our youth leadership program through Zoom. Well, I had no idea how to do Zoom, what to do, and the staff that I was working with, we were just like, oh my gosh, is this going to work out? And actually, it worked out very well. We thought the students wouldn't participate because of Zoom, and they all participated every day. The program is a week program for a week, and it's usually from 10 o'clock in the morning till at least 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, like I said, we've been doing this since 2020. This past year, we did our schedule for July 22nd of that week through July 26th. We had 6 students. All of them they were on the autism spectrum. And I have to be honest with you, I hadn't worked very much with kids that have autism, and it was an eye-opening experience for me, a good experience because I learned a lot. We had one student that could not sit still for 5 minutes. And the first day that was challenging for me because I just wanted to say, please sit down. But after the first day, everything turned out really well. And he was very intelligent, very forthcoming with information, very talkative. But we just learned to accept that he couldn't sit still for long periods of time. And some of the programs that we did each day, we had the mayor from Dayton come the first day and speak to the students, and they were really asking the mayor very, very good questions about his leadership skills and how to improve things in the Dayton area and what he was going to do about that. And so that was very entertaining. We worked on principles of leadership. We had someone from Wright State University come and do adaptive equipment for us. They bring adaptive equipment from Wright State, all kinds of fancy stuff that would help someone who is visually impaired, someone in a wheelchair, whatever the disability is. And the kids got to work with those pieces of equipment and use them. They really like that. Each day we had a debriefing session Of course, we had breaks and lunch. You know, everybody loved that. We ordered each day. We ordered from a different restaurant. We had pizza, we had subs, various foods. We had activity where each person did a vision board, what they thought a leader was, and what they thought their leadership skills were, and that was very interesting. Everybody was very creative about that. We had activities, how to deal with stress, and that everybody dealt with stress different ways. Maybe listening to music, writing poetry, watching television, reading a book. We had someone from Social Security come in and talk about incentives for Social Security. A lot of the students were going on to college, and they didn't realize that they could apply for disability. And that was an eye-opening for a couple of the students. We had trivia questions. Each day I would ask questions about the different activities we had the following day or the past day, and we gave prizes for the person that got the answers right. We had activities. We had several speakers. We had one speaker that talked about the ADA, and because unfortunately they don't really, in school, they don't really go over the ADA in depth. So the speaker that we had talked about the ADA and how that was important for people with disabilities. We had a speaker talk about living in the community. She has CP, and she's in a wheelchair. She's an author. She's written 3 books. So every day we had something different for all the students. And at the end of the forum, they had to write up a plan, and we had to present that to their OOD counselors. But it was a very good week, and one of the students from the following year, he decided he wanted to be a mentor, so he came as a mentor, and he really helped the students talk about their feelings and what their goals were, what they wanted to achieve. And the big thing I remember about him, every day, the first day, we always ask, "Why are you here?" And he said, "My mother made me come." And I thought, oh boy, this is going to be an issue. He's not going to, participate or do anything. But he participated the whole week, and at the end of the week, he said that he really loved the program. He got a lot out of it, and I was surprised when I contacted him again that he wanted to be a mentor for the next year. So that was really pleasing to me. But the program's worthwhile. We would like to have more students this coming year. They are talking about possibly redesigning the program, because we've done this every summer, and one of the concerns that we have is they want us to have 20 people, but we've not had 20 people in the 4 years that we've done this, because it coincides with the employment, the summer employment program with OOD, and a lot of kids are, working at McDonald's, making $10 an hour or $11 an hour, and they prefer to do that than come to YLF. But I think that this next year they're thinking about maybe doing some program during the school year instead of during the summer. But they haven't really made a decision about that yet. But they should, we usually start planning things in February. So we should be hearing something soon about, if they are going to redesign the program. And I think it's a worthwhile program, and everybody seems to enjoy it while they're there, and it's amazing to me how people come the first day. People don't really say too much. They're not really talking, but by the third day, they're talking to everybody. They're asking questions. They're participating, and they're involved with the program and learning about leadership skills.
Tanya,
Yes.
this is Erin with OOD. I know we have some questions, and one of them that has popped up is how to get involved, how to sign someone up for the YLF. And I know Jennifer and I probably have, our process, but do you have anything to share about that?
Well, what we've done in the past, and this year, this past year, OOD will send us names of consumers that they have that might be interested in the Youth Leadership Forum. We talk to them. We have them fill out an application. We send them an application if they're interested. We have them fill out an application. We get that application back, and then we do an interview with them through Zoom, and we decide, if that person we think that person is a good fit. We've never told anybody they're not a good fit for YLF. We've always taken everybody that we've interviewed. So,
And Tanya, is it a letter of recommendation or
Yes.
three recommendations or something
Well,
like that?
I think they narrowed it down to 2 recommendations and it could be an OOD counselor, it could be a school, it could be someone from their school, it could be a neighbor, anybody. So
Part of the reason I wanted Tanya to come is because I've sent 2 students that I've worked with in the past, and they both have gone on to go to college. And I remember one of the students, I said, well, what did you feel like you got out of it? And he said, well, and his parents were involved in this conversation. He learned how to set goals. And I thought that was really cool. So I don't know if that was through the vision board or if there were were speakers who talked about it, but he got really motivated to set goals and achieve goals. And this is a young man who did have autism, and he ended up getting his driver's license, and he started off at Sinclair with just a couple of classes. And it's my understanding that, he has continued on with school. So he's been very successful. And I think that leadership forum was, it's a really good space for him to shine and talk about leadership with his peers and with some professionals, and, because at school, he wasn't necessarily having those opportunities. And having those conversations. But in that forum, it was for them, and it was, yeah, I think it really made an impact on the two students that I'm thinking of. One other question I do have real quick is like, is it going to be in person or is it going to be virtual? Do you know that?
It's probably going to be in person.
Okay, so if people from Cincinnati want to come, is it every day and what time and how, I
Well,
guess the counselor
I-
would have to arrange for transportation.
Right. At this point, I don't know how they're gonna change things. So in the past, it's, we've had people from, Butler County, students from Butler County. Their OOD counselor has arranged transportation for them to come to the Dayton area. This past year, we had it in our office. We've had it at the, library downtown, but since we only had 6 people, this year, we decided to have it in our office, in our, conference room at our office, so, I can tell you about, 2023, we had a student, his mother came with him because he was autistic. He had a speech board and, he was very interesting. His brother was going to, college in Arizona. And he was gonna enroll in college at the same, college, but he was gonna do it online. But after he went through the youth leadership program, he decided that he wanted to go to college in Arizona, and the whole family moved to Phoenix to have him go in person to college. It still gives me goosebumps when I talk about it, because it was amazing that, he didn't want to do online. He wanted to be with other students. He wanted the campus experience. And I've talked to his mother a couple times, and he's doing very, very well. So, but as soon as we get more information on the 2025, I can send that information out.
Thank you. That would be so helpful.
You guys are all sharing such great programs for our students. It's exciting. And I even have an idea that I need to talk with Dr. Freilich about for CPS. That might be an idea for our MAP team, you guys, listening to some of these great opportunities for kids in our area. From the audience, do you have any questions that we can help answer while we've got our guests here? While you're thinking of one, you are welcome to unmute and ask or put it in the chat either way. And then I put the link to the Padlet in the chat again. Excuse me, just as a reminder, that's where we put all of our handouts from the sessions, and the video recording is there. So feel free to share that out and about. We're trying to make sure we get as much information out to all of you as we can. Okay. So nothing from the audience, I think, with questions. CPS team, do you guys have any questions? Oh, wait, here we have a question. Jennifer, are there any summer youth program jobs that are appropriate for nonverbal or low verbal students?
That's a good question. Again, I would work with your counselor, because working with a vocational rehabilitation counselor like myself, they can work with you on what are those needs with that disability and what would be appropriate, because that's a really big question, right? And so when we work with students, it's based on disability needs. And so, they would work with you more specifically on what your students' needs are. Um, we have worked with students, who are nonverbal, and they work with coaching and they can be successful with getting a job. But, that can be a process, depending on what supports and experiences they have in the school program, and then what they can participate in with OOD. So I definitely encourage you, if your student doesn't have a case, to apply for a case, or a program with OOD. Most times you can, some parents apply through the OOD Works site online. It's ood.ohio.gov. You can apply, and then they'll connect you to the counselor that works with your school, and then get you connected to start the process to open up a case. But again, like everything we do is, the services all have a curriculum, but when we're working with students with disabilities, we try to make it individualized based on what their disability needs are. So one student with who has autism still going to have different maybe needs than another student with autism, as far as work, and what does that look like in helping them prepare for work. So, and that's what that counselor can help you with.
So real quick, I just want to show you that Padlet, and I apologize, I am tardy getting our December session uploaded here, but yes, Elisa, we'll have this session uploaded probably tomorrow late afternoon. It takes like an hour and a half for it to render. So depending where I'm working tomorrow, I can get it ready. If not, I'll do it when I get home. But the recording's always at the top. And then if we have slide decks or handouts or flyers or whatever, they're right underneath that particular session topic. So tomorrow you'll see December's filled out, and then what we've got so far for January filled out. If that's helpful for you. Great. And then in February, I was just looking at our topic list. Does anybody on our team remember the topic list for February, our topic? I feel bad. I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
I do not.
I just pulled it up, and it is February post-secondary education resources. So college to careers, Think College, Ohio Technical Centers.
Yes. So that'll be another great one for just thinking of those post-secondary options for your students and what careers they want to have. And college can be a good option for students. There are different programs. OOD supports the college to career counselors on most of Ohio University campuses. So we'll learn a little bit about that. And then learning a little bit more about Ohio Technical Centers. That is the new word for adult education, and how they are welcoming students in who want to go to work, who maybe missed out on going to a career tech program or a technical school in high school. For whatever reason, it's very popular right now. So sometimes students just get closed out of the programming. But how can they go ahead when they're 18, 19 and go ahead and start a program if they're interested in doing that? So, and that'll be another great, exciting session for you. So Jennifer, Jen, and Tanya, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your time, and especially in the evening when you have other things going on. Again, thank you. Gave us a lot of information, and as soon as you send me things that you want me to share, I'll put them up on that Padlet. And then we'll see you in February already. Gosh, tomorrow's January 10th. How quickly it's going. So we'll hang on for just a little bit more, and feel free to leave when you're finished, and then we'll see you in February.